We have the backstage reaction to the business exposing moment from AEW Revolution last night. Plus, an AEW champion was injured at Revolution. And we'll tell you what happened when the show went off the air. It's all in the Cultaholic wrestling news right now. Somebody on the wrestling last night, Ross, said that it's all fake.
I can't believe it. They told us that the wrestlers know what is going to happen before the matches even take place.
Why would you say something so horribly wrong and mean?
Why would the wrestling present itself as a real fight? Like, we've got the boxing. They don't know who's going to win first.
Yeah. Oh, boxing's fake.
The MMA stuff, they don't know who's going to win first. The wrestling, you would think, just because of those other two things, wouldn't know who's going to win first.
Yeah, I know. Livid. So this was during Revolution last night. Tony Schiavone caught up with the cast and the crew of Queen of the Ring. Damaris Lewis was there alongside fellow star Kelly Berglund and the director of the movie, Ash Avildsen. And Tony asked what they'd learned about wrestling from making Queen of the Ring. And what did the erstwhile Damaris Lewis say?
One thing I learned about pro wrestlers, you all know you're going to win before anyone else does, so thank you for teaching me that, which is exactly what you want to hear in the middle of suspending your disbelief. I'm not going to pretend I'm very angry about this. No doubt Bubba Ray Dudley's out there going, she should have her mouth sewn shut back, gold, and she should be tied up to a tree. Ah! Whatever he said about Kendrick Lamar, apply it to her as well. But it is weird to hear when you try to suspend your disbelief about the wrestling, that a muggle comes in and says, oh, they know who's going to win before they have the matches. I can't believe it.
Madness. Sean Ross Sapp on Fightful Select shared the backstage reaction from AEW, saying there were audible groans backstage when the actress from Queen of the Ring said something along the lines of wrestlers know who is going to win. I can imagine there was just like a head in the hands moment for something so ostensibly obvious being said during a wrestling show. Complete innocence by Damaris Lewis. She's absolutely right. Like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing. She was just sharing what she learned from the wrestling, and I thought that was really quite innocent. But at the time, you can imagine just people going, oh, what are you doing?
In the middle of the wrestling show, if this is like an interview on the red carpet, that's one thing. But in the middle of a wrestling pay-per-view, goodness me.
In the middle of the wrestling. Having said that, I am really looking forward to Queen of the Ring. It looks really good.
Very good story. Didn't realise how tough it was for the ladies way back when.
Well, if you wanted to find out more about it, there is a Wrestling Curiosities on the podcast feed all about the story of Mildred Burke, which we did a little while ago, and you can get up to speed with what Mildred Burke went through in her incredible life and career. That's on the podcast feed for you, waiting, and then you can find out more about it, or when you watch Queen of the Ring as well. Heck of a movie. I'm really excited about it. Also from Revolution, a couple of injuries coming out of last night.
Yeah, Momo Watanabe, left on crutches after an ankle injury she suffered in a match with Mercedes Moné by apparently kicking too hard. I saw
that it was the kicks were too hard.
It makes you wonder why she does that when you know what was going to happen before the match even took place, Tom.
If only Damaris Lewis had got to Momo Watanabe beforehand, it could have all been avoided. But imagine kicking someone so hard that you have to leave on crutches. Then the old classic comes in and goes, oh, you should have seen the other person.
Yeah.
Mercedes in a bad way as well.
A bruised larynx for Mercedes Moné, which is the old voice box-alicious. Oh, she won't be singing this evening, but yes, Mercedes Moné has a bruised voice box.
That is not a nice injury as well. Full and speedy recovery. This comes as well with Swerve getting suffering an issue with his eardrum, a burst eardrum apparently, reportedly. Don't know at what point during the show that occurred, but otherwise everyone came out unscathed, which is crazy when you consider that Tony Storm Mariah May match where they were punching each other with glass.
Ospreay and Fletcher doing their super Spanish fly off the top of the cage down to the mat below.
Crumbs. Otherwise unscathed through that one. There was a name backstage at the show that got some people talking beforehand as well.
Yeah, been away from the company from several months, according to this report from Fightful. Wardlow was backstage. Fightful say we are told that Wardlow has been in LA and he's been working on another project.
Some acting you would have thought if he was in LA.
Oh my goodness me. Over the last year there have been a lot of narratives about Wardlow not being used, but every time we've asked, we've been told he's been recovering from an injury. We have not heard any details about a timetable for his return, but I guess it's good to see he was there.
Yeah, he was behind the scenes, back again. We don't know, they said, the full story about what's going on with Wardlow. Been missing in action. I think this is before Big Business, which is a long time now. Really, it's one of these guys, like when the MJF thing was happening, Wardlow seemed can't miss.
Yeah.
When I say the MJF thing, I mean when he was before he was
The aeroplane thing.
Yeah, before the area. That was it when it looked like he was going to walk out on the company and do all that. And then Wardlow became just like an afterthought somehow. And I was just like, how you missed with Wardlow, I don't know.
Yeah, just let him go out there and powerbomb folk, which is what they were doing. But maybe he powerbombed one too many folk, one too many times. That's why we find ourselves here. But again, get him back in there. He's a big boy. There's obviously a meat division getting built in AEW with the likes of Powerhouse Hobbs. Obviously, the tag team with Brian Cage and Lance Archer. Those kind of names spring to mind. So I'd like to see Wardlow back. I like him. He's a big boy.
He is a big boy.
And he's got youthful skin, because I was looking at research earlier on today. 37 years of age is Wardlow. 37. I mean, you would know how old that is, wouldn't you, Tom?
He's a spring chicken. Don't know what you're talking about. 37 isn't old. Dear God, someone tell me 37 isn't old. There's obviously creatively, we were desperate to see more of Wardlow. Creative is a subject that often comes up when we talk about AEW. Fightful Select reporting today that the show-ending sequence for Revolution last night that saw Christian Cage finally cash in that contract and lose almost immediately after was something that pitched to Christian Cage last week. So relatively off the cuff.
Yeah, at least he had a few days to process that horrible decision and then do it. Which fair play to him, I guess, for being a professional. I mean, he can't have agreed with it, surely, because he doesn't come out looking... I mean, there's one way of losing the contract, but that way makes him look like a tit, which I guess is fine if you're a heel, but that's not the right kind of tit for me, if that makes any kind of sense whatsoever.
There is a right kind of tit that we bite on.
Well, I'm sort of going, ha, the heel lost, but going, oh, the heel looks really rubbish coming out of that. No.
And I think that a lot of people have pitched this idea that Cope would beat Mox, and then seconds later, Christian Cage would come down, take the moment away from Cope, and I was well into that idea.
Yeah. Or even if Switch, Cope's Pop and Happen and Pal, even if Switch somehow got the contract off of Christian, and he was the one to cash in on Cope. The enemy being very close, whatever that old saying is, Tom.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Keep your enemies close to your friends, bye.
Your friends over there. It could be one of them. But there's a litany of other things. I think a lot of... We were talking about this upstairs, and Cultaholic.com's tribal editor-in-chief, Aidan Gibbons, was the one that said that maybe they were going to do something with him and Luchasaurus around that contract, but obviously Luchasaurus' status is still unknown.
Kill Switch.
Yeah, kill Switch, as we say. Could have been something to do with him, but alas... We don't know when he's back, so they just went, we should probably just move this story along now anyway. Such a shame to have lost it this way. But obviously Mox won his match, beat Cope, got jumped by Swerve, and then the show went off air, but the story continued, didn't it, Ross?
Yeah, Swerve and Cope came face to face inside that wrestling ring. Swerve just laid it out, saying, when I was a young whippersnapper, to bring the term back again for the second news video in a row, I looked up to you, Cope, every DVD that came out, I bought it, every book that you released, I read it. But then Cope saw this guy looking very cool and very suave and very Swerve, and saw, you can't do that. I'm Cope. I need to look better than you. So Cope thought he'd bring up the fact that, yes, whose house? Swerve's house. Yes, Swerve might have built this house for AEW, but the fact that Cope won Money in the Bank in this town before Swerve was a thing meant that Cope built the house before Swerve. Cope! He looks cool again.
That reaction when Cope went, this might be Swerve's house, but I want Money in the Bank in this house.
Yeah.
Booze. And then so I don't think that endeared him to the fans. Then we had a big chat about this upstairs, because this whole segment ends with it's Swerve telling Cope that he's going to take the burden off the shoulders of Cope of trying to take down Mox and the Death Riders. Yeah. And Cope responds to this by saying, I hope you win that championship, because you'll be looking eye to eye with me soon after. And then Cope throws down the mic, leaves to booze.
So we were on two sides of the fence here. Tom was on the side of the fence. Could this be hinting at a potential heelish turn for Cope? Whereas I was like, maybe he was just a bit sad that he lost, and maybe Swerve was taking away his mission statement from him to his face. So he's a bit disgruntled about that.
I mean, what they had there was a really cool segment that could easily begin a heel turn with Swerve going, stand down, old man, I've got this. That would lead to a great heel turn.
Cope winning, obviously. That's what that would lead to. Copa, they would say.
Cope Hogan running wild, apparently, in AEW. I think there'll be a lot said about Cope's run in AEW by the end of it. It's an intriguing one, but at this point, I am hopeful that Swerve just we said this in the first video. I just want Swerve to finish this Death Rider nonsense once and for all.
Yep, me too.
That would be a nice thing to happen. Thank you very much. For the latest wrestling news at any time, you can check out cultaholic.com. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.